There was very little written about Tashme, and yet it was, in my mind, a very prominent internment camp. It was the largest camp in terms of population. 2,600 people came to Tashme. I grew up, born and raised in Vancouver. My father was a doctor, and of course, while we were interned, he was also a doctor. Left Vancouver, I guess, in September of '42, but at that point I was 4 years old. I did go through kindergarten here. The kindergarten building, it was one of the farm buildings that existed prior. Tashme was built on a dairy farm. One of the barns was turned into an apartment building. The majority of the people who were here, though, lived in shacks. There was 347 shacks constructed on the site of the farm. These houses were very, very primitively built, and so there was no insulation. The only way to keep warm, in fact, was to use stoves.
I'm the founder and curator of the Sunshine Valley Tashme Museum. The museum is in the original Tashme butcher shop. I moved up here with my wife in 2008, and I acquired the property. So I spent nearly 2 years upgrading the building. That's when we started coming across what we call the internment items, or the Japanese items with people's names on it. And those items went in a box for safekeeping.
So you had this collection of artifacts which you put on display for visitors. So we kind of joined forces in trying to tell the world about Tashme.
8 years ago, we relocated the Tashme Kindergarten Schoolhouse onto museum property. We are officially unveiling the rehabilitated Kindergarten Schoolhouse, the RCMP Administration Building, our brand new Resource Center, and our Research Center. So the JCLS project, it was a 3-phase project. First phase was the beautification project, and that was sort of to beautify the museum grounds and create sort of this Japanese fusion rock garden. Phase 2 was our brand new Research and Archive Centre, which is upstairs. And then phase 3 is the restoration of the Tashme Kindergarten Schoolhouse, which is our public resource center. So we have computer terminals set up, washrooms for the first time, and then part of that is a full kitchen as well. So we're self-sufficient for field trips and everything else.
It is amazing to see everything that's done. Like, I got to see little pieces of it here and there, but to see it all finished is just, I'm in awe of it. It's like, wow.
It's not about the property and the land. It's about people coming back and reliving their life and seeing where they grew up, good and bad, the experiences they had. That's where I stand with this project.
This is very beautiful, all that's done here. But all I remember is that rows of houses, dirt road, no place to play, no friends. It wasn't a very nice place.
This is evidence of what people actually went through. In order to survive, silence played a big role in how they survived, that helped them to survive. And so seeing something like this is a little bit more tangible, that words really cannot explain that.
You know, my children didn't realize what we went through, and it was only recently that my son heard all these stories about our living in a Japanese shack, very poor insulation. There was ice under the sink and snow at the doorway. And I tell my children, if we didn't sleep with anybody, we'd be frozen in the morning.
Well, I see the old buildings that when I used to live here. it's good to leave the legacy, you know, and pass it on to the next generation. I would like them to know what happened during that 4 years, during the World War II.
Some of the young people really don't want to know about what happened, but we're grateful that our grandchildren have made the effort to come here today to actually see it for themselves, and then they can make their own decisions about what they think is the right thing.
I feel stunned that my grandfather used to live here.
It's been a really nice day of kind of getting to see these sorts of things preserved in a way that people can engage with them for an extended period of time, because I think this is a story that we've been told a lot as kids, but often people don't kind of have any sort of idea about what happened to Japanese Canadians during internment.
People drive up, they see our provincial interpretive sign, and they just stop and read it and shell-shocked. No idea this happened. But to actually be standing in Canada's largest Japanese Canadian internment site during the Second War is very powerful as well. And you explain how the Japanese Canadian community lost everything they own, right down to maybe 2 suitcases. Again, when they find out that 76% of the 22,000 plus were Canadian-born citizens, and the Japanese Canadian community were really held guilty of their ancestry, not their nationality. It's just, what do you mean? Like, how did this happen?
Everybody needs to leave a footprint, I'm sorry. And it's also a legacy for everyone else in the coming generations.
To understand where we came from after being forced out of the coastal area, and we've got to look at the history and understand what the 22,000 Japanese Canadians went through during 1942.
Having history available for every child to see, it's always knowledge that will bring on peace and harmony.
Well, the importance for coming here is not only the survivors, but their descendants have a chance to actually feel and be here. You can read about these things in books and see pictures, but to be actually here and to feel what it's like to be here in the midst of the mountains, it can't be duplicated. For the new immigrants, those that are post-war immigrants, they didn't experience it, and they've only heard some stories. By having them come here and be able to have something to show them so that they can feel just a little bit of what happened is very important, so that they can become part of the community as a result. Because experiences like this create the community.
They come here to understand or learn about what life was like for their parents or their grandparents or their ancestors. Other people who come here want to learn about the injustice. What I hope they will learn in coming here is, what the conditions were really like for people who went through this. Gaining sort of an understanding of that to better appreciate their own lives.